We've got a legend in our midst, yes! Michelle.
The one and only.
Mary Steenburgen is here. She's got a new movie. It's called Book Club. And talk about legends. It's full of legends.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Your friend Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda is in it. And it just goes on and on.
Candace Bergen and Diane Keaton.
Yes.
And some wonderful men as
yes,
well.
there are.
But it's very kind of interesting to have a movie made with 4 women over the age of 65.
Yes.
Technically, I was 64 when I made it, but but I mean, how about that?
It's amazing.
That's like lightning in a bottle.
And do you get intimidated by these huge legends like Jane Fonda? You have scenes with her?
Oh my God, yes. Well, the most intimidating, my first day of doing a scene with Jane, we had a scene, or the first scene that all 4 of us worked together. We had to pick her up. She's a hot mess on the bed with eyelashes, stuck all over her face. She's been crying. She's in a beautiful silk kind of nightgown and little robe, but she's a mess because of a guy, of course. And so we have to, within one shot, pick her up off the bed, clean up her face, put a dress on her, put earrings on her, sunglasses, shoes, and get her out the door. And that's all
in one shot.
In one shot in a scene. So instantly, everybody's like, how do we do this? But I do a TV show, so I'm very
economical.
Yeah, and I just am prop friendly. Like I know I can repeat it over and over, and if I know what I'm supposed to do, I can. So I said, well, I'll get the dress on but stupidly we got a wrap dress, and Jane Fonda has no waist, so I would wrap once or twice around myself. It's like, and again. Yeah. Damn it, and again, and again.
Yeah,
there is, she's like teen-icy and but anyway.
How does she not have a stomach? I don't understand that. No, she's a flat stomach.
But even more weird is like, I know this sounds kind of creepy, but like staring at the skin on her back and everything, it's like a baby skin. How is that possible?
She's a freak of nature.
She is. What, as you know, I think you're friends. Am I right about that?
Yes, yeah.
I think the most amazing thing is the kind of the commitment to truthfulness and this, if you're talking to Jane, she'll think before she answers questions because she sort of seeks out her own truth before she answers you. And there's something in a business where people have kind of learned to be inauthentic, whether it's to protect themselves or to be something they're not. She's so real, and I just freaking adore her.
Yeah. I got to tell you, when I did scenes with her on Grace and Frankie, I'm full confession, there was not a moment that I forgot the fact that I was standing next to Jane Fonda.
Of course.
I mean, you've been acting for about just under 300 years.
Yeah.
And
thank you for pointing that out.
You don't look at over 200
I have felt my whole face just fall in that second.
But do you, you must get lost in scenes. I've seen your work and it's fantastic. But do you're ever in scenes with people where you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is Alec Baldwin. I'm standing next to him. Or I'm being directed by Jack Nicholson. And, are you able to get lost in a scene?
Oh God, yes, but I also have what you just described. I did a movie a few years ago with a bunch of wonderful men, but I remember having my first scene walking and doing a scene with Robert De Niro, and it was just a very simple scene, and we're walking down the street in Vegas, and it's in a movie called Last Vegas, and we're walking along, and he's so simply truthful that as we're walking, I remember both going deeper and deeper in the scene, and then the same way when you're meditating and you have these like thoughts that bubble up. So the thought that bubbled up was, oh my God, this is why he's who he is. This is like, man, this is like, when I was a kid, we would say driving a Cadillac. This is something special. How this, whatever his alchemy is, you feel it when you're working with him. And I felt that with all three of these women. I felt both deep respect for what great actors they are, but also, I was in awe of them. And to be honest, I'm proud of my work and I'm proud of who I am, but I'm not iconic. They're all three icons. So the fact that I got cast at all still kind of amazes me, and I'm not being falsely modest. I think that's true. They're like each iconic for a reason. So I felt the pressure you're talking about was kind of me when I would be most insecure, I would go, what the hell are you even doing in this movie? And
still, after all these years, I mean, your first big movie was 78.
77.
77,
With Jack
Going
Nicholson,
South.
yeah.
It
wasn't my first big movie. It was my first movie. My first movie, I was the lead in a movie opposite. But I had studied in New York with Sandy Meisner and graduated from the Neighborhood Playhouse and waitress the whole time, and done comedy improv for years in New York before that happened. So I'd had this
the hard yards. You'd done the hard yards.
I did. I was a really good waitress.
Really? Where did you? What restaurant?
They're all gone. But I'll tell you what they are. They're the one I was at the longest was called Hudson's Bay Inn on 76th and 2nd. And 12 tables inside, 12 tables outside. And I could work by myself with a busboy on Sunday brunch. And that was my money for the week. I would do 24 tables by myself with a busboy and a bartender.
Wow.
And then there was, I also worked at a place called Noah's Ark. And I worked, when I got so-called discovered by Jack Nicholson, I was working at the Magic Pan. There were two of them. I was at the one on 57th between 3rd and Lex, and I went from there to being the lead in a movie.
How did you get into the Neighborhood Playhouse?
Well, I was raised in Arkansas. My dad was a freight.
You mean
train
Arkansas?
No.
No way.
Only my Kansas relatives call it that. But my dad was a freight train conductor, and my mom was a secretary, and I just was a normal kid there who loved books. I had some real hard stuff happen in my life, and books became my solace. So
sanctuary.
A sanctuary, and a place that I believed in. I experienced them as more than ink on a page. I experienced them as a world I would walk into and not want to leave, and it always had like smell and taste and sounds, and I would do the costume design, and it was very huge for me, and so there was a moment where I remember one of my friends, she played bass in a band, and this other one was a really good singer, and I thought, I wish I had something, and then I thought, oh, I do. I'm an actor. And this was such a silly thing for a kid, like I'd never met an actor in my life. But somehow I knew that's what I was. And I was about 15 when that moment happened. And then I went to a really good college for 1 year in Arkansas, and a guy saw me in a play there, and he said, you should go to New York because you have something special, and you should go to New York and study. And I said, well, where would I go? And he gave me this list of schools, which I still have. And he said, they're all great. This one has a man that's the most extraordinary acting teacher in America named Sandy Meisner. But it's really hard to get into. And he checked that one, and it's the only one I applied to.
Oh, is it?
That's crazy. Who was the guy who told you to go to New York?
My professor, Kenneth Gillum. And so when I won an Oscar years later, he's one of the people I thanked.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You won an Oscar for Harold and
Melvin and Howard.
And Howard.
Yeah.
And that was only like your third
Yeah, my third film. And it was directed by the great Jonathan Demme, who we lost last year, who I loved, and that I did Philadelphia with as well.
Right.
And he was just a great friend.
Now, the new movie is called Book Club. Who directed that one?
Bill Holderman directed that.
I don't know who that is.
Well, because this is his first movie, and he and Aaron Sims produced it and wrote it and directed it.
What's it like to work with a first-time director? Do you direct him, or do you think this guy has got? Does he have to prove himself? Do you put him through the paces?
I have a son who's a director, and I wouldn't want someone treating him so much that way. So I think. And look, my neck's out there, so I want him to succeed. And am I ever challenging? Probably I am sometimes, only but it's always about material or some, and I think I try to do it in a way that's always peaceful. But I look out for myself because I've done this for a long time.
Nobody else will.
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah.
Are there movies out there that you think, oh my God, I wish the last copy would be burned?
Oh my God, that's like half my career.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
No, yeah. It's like and honestly, I feel like I don't really feel that way, by the way. But do I think that all these movies are fully realized and as great as I wish they were? No. And I feel like part of the journey of being an actor is it's not about perfection. It's a group effort, and sometimes I was the weak link. Sometimes other people. Yeah, I mean, there's things I think I could have done better, or I could have been. I could have, maybe I was wrong for the part or whatever. I mean, I can look back, and I think I'm pretty realistic about myself. I'm not especially hard on myself, and I don't fluff myself either. I think I'm pretty real.
I guess you would have to, especially if being an actor is mapping out an emotional sort of GPS system for what the role calls for. You would have to know what your what the tools you have that you can bring to this thing to make it come to life. I guess the question is, in terms of mapping out a role, how far are you willing to go? How are there things that you rely on? There's one thing, like I think in Miss Firecracker, I can never forget
oh my God,
you saying,
I love that character.
It's a really great character.
Yeah, I loved her.
She says something about my sweet carnation, and it just resonates.
Yeah.
Did you know you were adding so much of Arkansas to that role? Did you map that out?
A great part like that's so great on the page, all I had to do was fly. I understood her. She was so easy to play. She was so, when they're that beautifully written, it was just effortless because it's all there. I mean, she has like a clock collection, which clearly is because she's terrified about aging.
Yes.
And she's trying to control it. And she makes this fantastic speech about my life as a beauty. And I say, wherever I have roamed, Richmond, and she goes like within about 100-mile radius of, and she, starts naming all these places that she's been, and it's like, damn, she's never gone more than 100 miles. And I loved her so much.
Yes.
And I have my little cousin Holly Hunter wait on me, hand and foot, and she's serving me tea or something, and I go, lemon drops, please. and I have her drop lemon drops in the tea because God forbid I couldn't do that myself.
Right.
So it was so delicious, and Holly was so great, and Tim Robbins and Alfre Woodard, and the cast was just so fabulous. And Tommy Schlamme, who directed West Wing, and who's just an amazing director, directed it. And we got to rehearse that, which is unusual for a movie. We got to do what you do in the theater and put tape down on a floor. And,
wow.
Because Tim and I had this crazy dance to Hernando's Hideaway, that involved going from room to room and jumping on the backs of sofas. And so that was, I loved her.
I want to ask him, and we're going to go to break, but I want to ask about the sort of mapping out a character. You said that in Miss Firecracker it was easy because it was on the page, but I'm just wondering how you're able to add how physically an actor adds their own experience and their imagination from those books. How do you infuse your imagination into a character? I know we've got a break coming up. Well, I'll let you answer that when we come back from this break.
And also I want to ask you before we go to break, think about this. Do you ever get a script? You've been working steadily. You're unbelievably talented. Do you ever get a script? You look at it and say, nope, this one is out of my wheelhouse. I can't do it. Can't go there. Or I'm not willing to go there. Do you do that as an actor who's worked steadily for all these years?
We got Mary Steenburgen. The movie is called Book Club. It's got everybody in it. It looks so funny. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back after this. Girl, I love me some clothes. I spend a lot of time out in stores buying clothes.
You do.
But, Stitch Fix can fix all that.
Well, they can, Rue. Stitch Fix is actually reimagined the way we find and we buy clothes.
Yeah.
No longer do you have to go to the store and try stuff on and be like, oh, I hate this, I need this, and another. No, that's not the way to do it. Now, they are convenient. They understand that life gets busy. So you just tell them your sizes, you tell them your favorite type of clothing and how much you want to spend, and your personal stylist will pick out clothing for you based on your preference. So how many times have you heard people, including myself, say, oh, I wish I had a stylist to dress me every day.
Yes.
And if I had a stylist, I can look like that. Well, now you can. If an item doesn't fit or you just don't like it, no worries. You just send it back free of charge. And some of us have style and some of us don't. Let's face it.
That's true. It's true.
But just because a sense of style seems elusive for some, it doesn't mean that it's impossible to attain. There's no time like the present to discover that style that you've never known you've had, you guys, and you can with a little help from our friends at Stitch Fix. They have just reinvented on how we shop and we do this, you guys. All you do is you log on. You answer questions. You're literally thinking it's a dating app. It's that intense. But that's how they figure out what kind of stylist is going to work for you, what your stylist is, that type of thing.
So the things that work for you, you keep and you pay for, and the things that don't, you just send back.
Correct. And their styling fee is only $20, which is waived if you keep all 5 items.
Okay.
So since your personal stylist uses only your preferences to pick your clothing, you're still in complete control of your look. So once your items arrive, you try them on, you only pay for what you keep. If you don't like something and you need another size, you just send them back, no questions asked, and shipping is always free both ways. So get your fix free when you want. Hurry to stitchfix.com/Rue. Get started now. Keep all 5 items in your box and you'll get 25% off your entire purchase. That's stitchfix.com/RU. Stitchfix.com/Rue.
Girl, these Boll and Branch sheets are fabulous. And I think everybody should sleep on them. I do. I've said it there.
Well, honey, they have a 30-day free trial, so you really have nothing to lose. And the thing about everything Boll and Branch does, which is amazing and has integrity, is I constantly, before I knew about Boll and Branch, would look on Amazon or online for organic cotton. Because if you think about it, you get out of the shower, out of the bath, you put all your lotions on, you're going to jump into some synthetic sheet.
Right, yuck.
Organic cotton is what you want on your skin, honestly, and less allergies and all that nonsense. But what I will tell you is the more you wash these sheets, the softer they get. I have a gray king sheet, and it is so soft. I literally, when I'm exhausted, think about crawling onto that Casper mattress with my Boll and Branch bedding, and it's like, yes, mama. So you guys, if you want to get yours, our listeners, $50 off your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com, promo code RU, $50 off your first set of sheets, Boll, BOLL, and branch.com, promo code RU.
We've got Mary Steenburgen on the show. The new movie is called The Book Club. Now, Michelle, you had a question before we went to break.
Yeah, because I often think, listen, we get a lot of talented people in here, but you have a pretty extensive body of work. And do you ever look at a script now? Because you can do anything. You've run the gamut. One of my favorite films you've ever done is Elf, and
yes.
For the obvious reasons, but I'd love to know about outtakes, but that's not the point. The point is, because keeping a straight face with that, buffoonery going on must have been insane. But do you ever look at a script now at this point in your career and say, this is way too big for me? It's been offered to you. They want you. Do you ever look at something and go, I can't do this?
Well, the short answer is no. I wouldn't do that, because I believe that my job is to scare myself. And I believe my job is to never be set, never feel like I've done it. It's so terrifying myself is part of what I spend a lot of time doing, and in many different ways, not just acting. But you mentioned elves, so the next call I got from Will Ferrell was to say, would you be insulted if instead of playing my mother, my stepmother, I asked you to play my actual mother, even though I think I'm 11 years older than him. And I said, well, what is it? And he said, it's this movie Step Brothers. And I thought, well, yes, And then the reality set in when we started doing it that in answer to your question, that it's something I didn't feel like wildly skilled at just being anywhere near John C. Reilly or Will Ferrell as far as improvisation. Can I improvise? Yes, that's what I love doing that. I mean, we do Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's a fully improvised show. But I was scared to death to do Step Brothers. And then I just started realizing, man, what you're here to offer is the grounding somehow reality of that there are two parents that have two middle-aged kids in their house, and so
it's all insane. It's just insane.
And so all you have to do is just try to tell the truth, and have a good time. And it ended up being one of my favorite experiences of my life. But I don't think I was ever more terrified of any, certainly not in any so-called highbrow film.
Right.
I was terrified because they're magic. Yeah. They just are endlessly, deeply hilarious. That's the one too that has amazing outtakes.
And I can imagine.
And finding that and that clicking, what you said, which was, I'm the grounding of these two comedic geniuses. Yeah. Did you learn that at Meisner? Did you learn how to dissect a script and go, I know what this role is? How do you do that? Where do you learn that?
I think what I learned more from him was how to not try to be funny or be emotional or be anything like you've seen it before or like you've seen someone else. I think what he really caused me to do was to put my attention on the other person, not do anything unless they made me do it, and then do that from the most authentic place in myself. And that question you asked me earlier about how do you construct a character, and if there's a visual for me about it, it's like, those old Chinese apothecary cabinets that have tons of little drawers. Yeah. I always think, the cabinet is me. It's me. And there's all these tiny drawers that have made up who I am. And when I work on a character, it's somewhere in those drawers, and it's my job to figure that out. And how I get there is not always the same way. Mm-hmm. I do a character on Last Man on Earth, and like most TV shows, the character has evolved from the very beginning to who she is, and I love her very much, but she mostly has come from Will Forte going, he always says, hard-ass Gale, and it means lower your voice, and it's a funny external way of getting to something that then triggers a lot of things in me. That is Gale, and so not every path is always from, hopefully not too much from your head. Mm-hmm. That's why in answer to your question about Miss Firecracker was she was kind of in some ways a million women I was terrified I was supposed to be when I was growing up. Like I actually remember somebody saying, you know, well, if you're lucky, you know, you could marry a doctor. And nobody ever said you could be a doctor. Not my generation, you know. And it was like, but I didn't want that. I would rather have been the doctor. I would rather do what I want to do in life than, you know, than be successful through someone else.
Right. Where did you get the permission to be hard-ass Gail or to be any of the provocative characters you've played? Where do you get that permission, especially, you know, good Southern gal?
Right. Yeah. Okay, so my dad had 8 heart attacks as I was growing up. I mean, he lived through that, but every single one of them was going to end our life. My dad was going to die. He couldn't work for years at a time. We didn't have any money. We were, you know, there were times that we did okay when he could work, and then there were times that the nice man at the grocery store gave us dented soup cans because they weren't going to sell, and he was kind, and he knew that we needed it. There was that range in my childhood, and it was terrifying, mostly terrifying. They somehow kept us from being too scared about money, but I was terrified about him dying. And he kept almost going there, you know? And so my belief was that I had to be so good and so perfect that it would never cause him to have a heart attack and he would never die. And so part of my deal in books, to be honest, was that was the safest place to be. And so as I grew up, when I started being an actor, I realized, and Sandy said to me one time, because I wasn't being angry in a scene, he goes, "Were you raised in a fucking nunnery?" You know, he goes, "Where's your anger?" And I realized I was so scared of it. And I went to therapy. After my first movie out here, I went to therapy, and bless her heart, on day one, this woman from social services, because I didn't have any money then either, like laid the whole thing out for me. And I was like, then for a while, I was too angry. Like I was like a shower, you know, the hot on the shower was too hot.
Yeah.
And then I learned to just try to tell him the truth, you know.
You got angry over the fact that you weren't allowed to be angry as a child. She laid it out that the reason you are doing what you're doing is because you didn't allow yourself to do it as a child. Is that
no way. Yeah. No way would I do that.
Yeah.
I'd kill my dad.
Yeah.
You know.
You lived in fear of that.
Oh, terrified of that. And ironically, my dad died probably from his chewing tobacco of lung cancer.
Wow.
So not even a heart attack?
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
And so after the therapist, after Going South, the movie, and how many years do you feel it took you to fully give yourself permission to, you know, actually on 30 Rock, there's this sexual tension between you and Alec Baldwin.
He's so much fun.
So beautiful. It's so...
But you understand that
the audience feels it, and the permission to do that.
Well, it's also very forbidden because I'm also his mother-in-law. So
exactly.
So I love the forbidden aspect of it. And the weirdest thing about that is that one day we had to do a scene where we had to hit golf balls and to relieve our sexual tension. And I played golf with my dad a bit as a child, and but I haven't really touched golf clubs, you know, as an adult. Yeah. So I thought, oh my God, they're going to be waiting for me to hit these balls. And then, but I had to think of like some sexual thing to say on each one. So I freaking nailed every time. Like I was like a golfer.
Yeah.
And the reason why was, and this is a tip for all you golfers out there, I wasn't thinking about the golf. I was thinking about what dumb sexual thing am I going to say on this next thing.
Yeah.
And so the golf just was like fantastic. I was like, damn.
Write a book. Write a golf book.
I know.
But you understand what I mean by this whole permission thing, because even for every human, not just actors, the idea that you can create the life you want. And as an actor, obviously you get to create a role, but letting go of some of the baggage.
Like you?
Like me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like being able to, just say, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to really, because you've seen actors where they're holding back and it's like, just go for it. Like, where's the meanness, Gail?
Right. Right.
When did it really click? You went to a therapist?
Oh, well, you know what? I mean, I think it's an ongoing thing.
Still.
Oh, sure. I think anything worth doing in life, any creativity, there's a certain amount of fear. There's like an edge that you've got to walk up to. You might have to jump right off of it, and if people have no fear of that, it feels a little strange.
Right.
I don't know why she popped into my head, but there's this. Do you know who Jackie Shane is?
Oh, yeah. Jackie Shane. Yes.
So I'm a little obsessed with Jackie Shane. And I think about, when you were saying that, I was thinking about Jackie Shane.
She's a transsexual. They uncovered her, Jackie Shane, the singer. She was a singer from the 60s, soul singer.
Yeah.
And she disappeared for many years. And they just uncovered all of her old albums and things, and they've re-released them.
Oh.
Yeah. So Jackie Shane in the 50s and 60s was an African-American born man who dressed and performed as a woman in the South.
Yeah.
Like unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm still amazed at that.
Yeah.
So I think about Jackie Shane and about that courage, and every once in a while when I'm scared of something, it's like, well, it's not Jackie Shane.
Right.
Like you can do this. You're just,
It's
an old white girl.
Well, but it does speak to the tenacity of the human spirit when you think about what people are willing to do, because the alternative
There was no
is
other way
death.
for
There's
Jackie
no
Shane,
I've got to do
That's
this,
it.
even if it kills me.
Well, that ultimately is true. I could not have had a life without the things I've done. I couldn't have had a life without acting. I couldn't have had a life without music, and I certainly couldn't have had a life without love, which is my family and my husband.
Yeah.
So there were just those things that it's like, what choice do I have? I have to be brave, but I'm not by nature, the most like exhibitionist person. Which makes it a more interesting journey.
Right. Hey, I want to talk about your music, but first I want to talk also about being married to an actor. Now, you've been married to an actor twice, and is I guess, I know you wouldn't have anything to compare it to, but I'm sure you've dated people who were not actors.
Yes.
And tell me, what are the biggest challenges in dealing with someone
else? There's a lot of actors
else?
that don't want to date other people in the business.
That's true.
After, I said I wasn't going to marry an actor again.
You were married to Malcolm McDowell.
I was married to Malcolm McDowell, who I freaking adore.
Still today?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's. I've just been watching him actually in Mozart in the Jungle, which
so
I
amazing.
love.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Michelle's
in
a big fan of that
Oh
show.
my God, I love
He's
that
brilliant
show.
in that show.
It took me. I kept wanting to see it, and Ted and I kept looking in the wrong places for it. And anyway, we were just on vacation in Hawaii, and I said, "Please, can we watch it?" And we just binge watched
Isn't it
Mozart.
so fun?
It's so good.
Yeah.
And he's so good in it, and I love him, and he's the father of my 2 children. And but it was hard, because at that time in our lives, trying to balance children and 2 careers that inevitably, especially in his case, took him overseas. I worked a lot in England. We lived some in England. I did a mini series for the BBC that was like 8 months long all over Europe. So we had all these separations. So my reason for saying I won't marry an actor again mostly just had to do with the fact that in life it was hard to connect and see each other because of the way the schedules were. And as in my second go-round with an actor, because I immediately broke my rule and married Ted Danson.
Yeah.
But, not immediately, but after some years of being single, I did. And for some reason, maybe it's the time in our lives or doing television or whatever, we haven't been away from each other that much.
Lucky.
Yeah, and we kind of do work at that because, like, at this point, it's like, why would I want to be away from him?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we've been together 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
25 years?
yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Isn't
Because
that
we went on the
nuts?
journey with you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
That's
Yeah.
outrageous.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. That's really crazy.
Yeah.
Now I know we're going to go to another break, but I want to talk about your music because this is something we did not really know about you.
Yeah, most people don't.
That you are
Yeah.
a songwriter and a singer, and you love you love doing that.
I'll agree to the songwriter part. I don't know about the
Did you
singer.
see what she did?
Yes, she sort of smirked there. Yeah. I'm listen. I'm of the school. If you can talk, you can sing.
Okay,
So.
you're right. You're right.
So I want to talk about that. We've got Mary Steenburgen. The movie is called Book Club, and you got to see this thing. I cannot wait. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this. You know, Michelle, I love my eyeglasses. In fact, I went to Warby Parker and I got this this pair that I don't know what it's not a tortoise, but it's got some sort of a cream color mixed in with tortoise. And there's a name for it. I don't know. But I go in all the time to check to see the styles because they change styles, all the time.
And they have flagship stores.
They have flagship stores.
Yeah.
And listen, I don't want to pay what I pay for an iPhone
No.
with eyeglasses. So I go in there all the time, and I find really good stuff. I have these gorgeous ones that I'm talking about that I told you earlier that I cannot wait to wear. But it's got to be the right outfit for them.
You know, the ones, it sounds like you're describing, see, Carson Kressley.
Carson is who turned me on to it.
And I bought the exact pair that Carson
You
has.
have those?
Yeah.
I went in there looking for those, but I walked out with this other pair that I kind of like better.
I love Warby Parker. Now, Warby Parker makes buying glasses online easy and risk-free. What? Yes. They have a home try-on program. They allow you to order 5 pairs of glasses shipped directly to your door where you can try them on in the comfort of your own home. And, of course, you want to get feedback from your friends, your family. I ask my husband all the time, I have an eyeglass obsession.
You do, and you need probably a 12-step program.
I absolutely
you really do.
I'm
yeah.
not even denying it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the first step
Yeah,
is
the first
denial.
step is-
Like,
yeah.
I'm over denying.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I have an issue. So when I ask my husband, he'll be like, those aren't as good. I'll be like, I don't care because I love them anyway. Even if you ask the mailman, you don't care. Everybody whose opinion you care about, you try on the frames for 5 days before sending them back using a free prepaid return shipping label. No obligation to purchase. It's 100% free. And it's so easy. A dog, doesn't matter, could do it. Pick an animal.
Wolf!
Exactly. And they believe glasses should be viewed like we believe glasses are a fashion accessory.
Yeah, they are. I use them as fashion accessories. You have 200. I probably have 200. No, I think I probably have 75, 100.
Yeah,
50.
you're catching up really quickly. Free home try-on program. Order 5 pairs of glasses. Try them on for 5 days. No obligation to buy. Ships free. Includes a free. I told you all that stuff. Head to warbyparker.com/Rue. Glasses start at $95.
Love that.
By the way, including prescription lenses. Lenses include anti-glare, anti-scratch coatings, and we have to have the anti-reflective
Yes,
on
for
TV.
television, yeah.
For every pair you buy, a pair, ready? This is the best part, with Warby Parker, for every pair you buy, a pair of glasses is distributed to someone in need.
Wow.
I love that.
That's brilliant.
Also, they have their own app. Now, when I ordered mine, I ordered it through the app.
Mm-hmm.
They make it so easy. You can see it. One thing I get really frustrated about is when I try to buy glasses online and I have to ask sellers, like on eBay or whatever, can you please show them to me on a human face?
Okay, yeah.
Because you can't get the sizes.
Sure.
And then you can see them all on human faces on Warby Parker.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason to go anywhere else. It's unbelievable. Going through the site is so easy. If you have an iPhone X, make sure you download the Warby Parker app that I just told you about, where you can use the brand new feature, Find Your Fit, uses the iPhone X's true depth camera to map and measure your key facial features.
That's wonderful.
I mean, what year are we in? 2075? 3,000? It's
Wow.
unbelievable,
Yeah.
you guys. Warby Parker is the way to go for prescription glasses starting at $95. Go to warbyparker.com/Rue. If you're in the market for sunglasses or eyeglasses, prescription glasses, head over to warbyparker.com/Rue or download the app and you get that free home try-on program. So order 5 pairs of glasses, try them on for free, no obligation to buy. It ships free and includes a prepaid return shipping label. Head to warbyparker.com/Rue to order your free home try-ons today. warbyparker.com/Rue.
We got Mary Steenburgen. The movie's called Book Club. Can't wait to see it. I want to talk about the music, though, because when did you start writing songs?
Okay, here's my weird story.
Okay.
I had no desire to write songs, never thought about writing songs. On my list of superpowers as a human being, it would have been way, way down on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even occur to me. I do remember going to a psychic many years ago in Dublin named Sandra Ramdani, who said to me, of course I asked about my career, like any good actor, and she said, "Oh, you're going to do so great. There's going to be people like cheering, and I see all this, I see it's a live thing." And I said, "Oh, is it a play?" And she goes, "I think it's more like a musical." And I'm like, "Really?" 'Cause I have an okay voice. Would I really? But she said, no, you're not singing. You wrote the music.
Wow.
And I thought, at that moment, I decided
You wanted your money back?
That she was no good. But then the crazy thing is, she also told me about Ted.
Wow.
What?
She totally described that I was going to fall in love in a town full of towers, which was Mendocino, California, that has all these water towers. Mm-hmm. And that it was a man that I would have seen before, but not really known, which was, I was like a huge Cheers fan.
Who wasn't?
Yeah.
And
she totally, I forget all the details, but she described me marrying. This woman's going to get a lot of calls because of me today. But she described this musical thing, which at the time I thought, nah. Yeah. None of this is true. Yeah. Well, all of it turned out to be true.
Wow.
So what happened was I had a minor surgery on my arm. There's a little scar. That was in April, I think it's April 17th, 2007. I went under general anesthetic, came out. It, felt a little weird. And they said, "Oh, just drink a lot of water." We went home. I still felt weird, and I would kind of call them saying, I might be having a reaction to this anesthetic. And they said, "Oh, you'll be fine, just, drink a lot of water, rest, And to make a long story short, from that day, that moment on, I just had a bit of a different brain.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Really, really. Mm-hmm. And the best way to describe it is that things became a part of a musical tornado. People would say a word to me, and I would hear it as music, or I would pass a street sign, and it would say Lost Lake Lane, and so I wrote. That turned into a song for me.
You're one of those people that something happens when they come out of surgery. Some people come out of surgery and they speak another language.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Oliver Sacks, who himself had a brain disorder called facial recognition disorder, wrote a book called Musicophilia. And it's a book that I think is about, it's people who've had a normal relationship to music that develop an obsessive relationship to music. Because in addition to this difference in how my brain sounded, there was a difference in my relationship to every bit of music in the world. If I was standing at a kind of outdoor party or something and there was a 3-piece band playing, I struggled to have a conversation with anybody because my brain was over there with those people, no matter how far away.
That's before the surgery or after? Because you were focused on the music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so for me, I know it all sounds wacko, but what I think actually did happen is not anything. I think it's more medical than metaphysical, but I don't know. But who knows? But I feel like because I had a very musical grandmother, I feel like genetically that music component of my mind and my being was there. And somehow in that little, surgery,
The gate was lifted.
a gate was lifted, or some little synapse, or I don't know.
That's awesome.
But after 2 months of not sleeping and me knowing that if I had an acting job at that moment, I literally couldn't have learned lines because I was so obsessed with it all that I had to do something to get it out of my mind. And I started working with a musician on Martha's Vineyard, Mike Benjamin, who's a wonderful, he plays every instrument. He has a beautiful voice. And I said, if I sing some of these things I hear to you, can you make a song out of it? That was the first way I did it. And we kind of laboriously did this together. And then some of them were crap and some of them were kind of great, And so we took the ones that felt good, and I sent them anonymously to a wonderful music lawyer and put my mom's name on there that he wouldn't recognize who it was. And he called Eric, my manager, and said, yeah, I think I'd like to sign that kid.
Oh, my
Wow.
gosh.
And Eric's like, yeah, kid's not going to do this for her, but I'll send her in. You guys can talk about
What
it.
kind of music? Folk or?
Well, initially it was everything. Like what I write. So
I mean, are you sending songs to Rihanna? I mean,
I would love to. I would love
We
to.
all would, kiddo.
No, I write songs for end credit songs for movies
Sure.
and to submit. And I work with Universal Music Publishing Group and have now for a long time. And I go to Nashville a lot, where the great songwriters are, where there's an amazing tradition of songwriting. And we write everything from blues and jazz and country. And alone, when I'm by myself, I write these weird little almost French sounding French cafe music that are just, I don't even know where that weirdo stuff comes from, but it does.
Not Arkansas.
And I took up the accordion and I started playing the piano, and so it's been this amazing. And by the way, I'm always the least talented person in a room when I'm writing. I co-write with people, and I'm always the least talented person in the room. And I like that. I like that I'm hungry, and I'm trying to get better at something. And I like that I stay in a state of creative humility because it feels alive to me and vibrant. And that's what I mean by scaring myself.
Yeah, well, in that spot is where the divine can enter. You're an open vessel for the divine to come through you.
Yep.
Because once people feel like, I know what I'm doing, that's when it sort of.
That's where the journey ends.
That's where the journey ends. It's sort of
chokes it up.
Chokes it up, exactly. What kind of music did you grow up listening to?
In the summer after fifth grade, this angel from heaven, in the form of my friend's mother, Clara Green, took us to see the Beatles in Houston, Texas. So I was a huge Beatles fan, and before that, I loved Elvis because he was so handsome.
Yes,
and I loved musicals. I was very inspired by the musicals of the 60s and then 70s.
Well, there were tons.
And I loved Hair, and I loved, Godspell, and I loved all that. And I still do. And I've never done a musical in my life, but maybe someday I'll be.
Have you done Broadway?
I have done Broadway. I've done a couple of plays on Broadway.
Yeah. So the music. So right now you're with a music publisher and you're actively working. Where do you want to see it go? Would you like for the music part of your career to go?
Well, right now I'm writing the music for an animated film, and I love doing it because I can write in a character. So it's combining the two loves of my life artistically of creating a character as an actor and writing a song in that character. And so it's something I'm really, really enjoying, and it's turning out really well. And so I just want to keep writing music and pushing my own boundaries, and I want to write songs that I'm proud of, and I'd like to write songs that say something, and as well as songs that are just about making you feel a certain feeling.
You know, it's something, you just said something really interesting about, first you talked about the guy who saw you in a play and said, you need to go to Sanford Meisner.
Yeah.
And then the woman who took you guys down to see the Beatles in Houston. And then even, your manager sending this on. People and the books, being introduced to these characters through books. You need people in your life who can say, a little to the left, you should probably, but also, more importantly, being able to hear that universal stage direction to say, kiddo, I think you need to do this over here. Or even the psychic saying, I feel this. Yeah. Tell me about your life as a seeker.
Wow.
Are you a seeker?
My husband would say, yeah, I think my husband and I both are. I've certainly experienced that there is another world beyond. The world is bigger than what we see with our eyes. And I've experienced that firsthand. So I think there's a part of me that is always wondering about not just what you see in life, but all the people that went before us and what's going on with them. I do. I'm a big believer that this ain't all that there is, and I recognize that it's very easy for that to be a sort of solace or pablum that you tell yourself because you don't want to disappear and die. But then I've also had tangible experiences that would just not be explained any other way other than, oh yeah, they're still around.
Right.
So I had those, to be honest, when my dad had those heart attacks, one of them, I was at a camp and I got hysterical at the camp, and I told, they couldn't calm me down, and I was not that kind of kid. I was pretty quiet, but I was completely frantic, and they took me to the Y in Little Rock where my mother could come pick me up, and she came, and I said, something's wrong with Daddy, and she said, honey, he's fine. He's playing golf. That's what his therapy was, to play golf. And she said he's on the golf course, and we passed his ambulance.
Oh my God.
So as a child, I didn't understand that what that was. I'm not sure I still do, but I really didn't as a child, and I kind of felt like I caused that. So part of my, withdrawal from the world was, don't screw up anybody's life by all this weird stuff that sometimes pops into your head, As an adult, it's like, life's too short. Let's just go for it.
But also just recognizing that you are a vessel, like even the storyline with the arm and how this other life came through you, this musical life just emerged, and allowing it to emerge. It's interesting. I think most people have those experiences. I think they sort of shut them down.
And doubt them.
Yeah.
They really doubt them, and it's easy to do that. And I'm not saying I've never done that. I always question myself. I question life after death. I question anything psychic. I'm not I don't spend my life just digging into this. But I have to say I just feel in my body an openness toward spirit, toward all the things I cannot see. I don't understand them, or I don't have anything that I can call anything up or that ability, but I'm open to the world beyond this world.
Do you have a spiritual practice?
Well, I was taught to do TM years ago, and I am sometimes really religious about it, and sometimes I'm, I get busy and I don't do it. I wish I were. That's always on my, January 1st list of how I'm going to be a better person.
Right.
Wasn't there a Beatle that made that famous TM? Like, not famous. Obviously,
They did go study.
But I remember the first time I ever heard about TM, because I'm interested in it, was in relation to the Beatles.
Yeah. I think George Harrison maybe.
One of them.
Yeah, I love the feeling of it. I always feel like I'm being pulled almost like by my belly down some crazy river. That's my feeling of what it feels like when I leave myself alone enough to go deep into it. And then there's times I sit there and it's literally like I've made a list of what I have to do that day, and I think that's meditation.
That's part of it too, though.
Yeah,
that is part of it. We got Mary Steenburgen. The movie is called The Book Club. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back after this. Girl, we spend so much time in bed.
On our backs.
You have got to treat yourself good. So when you spend all this time in bed, why not treat yourself to the best sheets money can buy? That's Boll and Branch.
I agree. And getting a great night's sleep is easier and more affordable than you think, y'all. You don't need a new expensive mattress or sleeping pills. You just need to go change your sheets. That's why you should check out Boll and Branch. Now, everything Boll and Branch makes, from bedding to blankets, are you ready for this? It's made from 100% organic cotton, which means they'll start out super soft and they get even softer over time. And that is no bull.
Yeah, that's money in the bank right there.
Everyone who tries Boll and Branch sheets loves them, including us. That's why we have thousands of 5-star reviews. I mean, we do too, but they do.
Yeah.
And we're talking Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, Fast Company are all talking about Boll and Branch. Even 3 U.S. presidents sleep on Boll and Branch sheets. Shipping is free, and you can try them for a 30-night trial. If you don't love them, you send them back for a refund, but I doubt that's going to happen, because I'm telling you, there's no risk, no reason not to give them a try, and you're going to fall in love. To get you started, our listeners get $50 off your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com. Promo code RUE. Go to bollandbranch.com. Let me spell it. BOLL and branch, like branch on a tree.com. Promo code RU for $50 off your first set of sheets. Fantastic. They're honest. They're transparent. They're a great bedding company. Startup founded in early 2014. You can feel really good supporting them. It's bollandbranch.com.
Well, and we've got Mary Steenburgen. On the break, we're talking about the book club, and she was
I
saying
can't
how
wait.
scary it is. But, when you think about the movie, you think about the Joy Luck Club, you think about First Wives Club, you think about these movies that have these powerful women, these big actresses, and you think, oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. You think about Nancy Meyers, who did not direct this, but you think about that kind of a film. Are we close? Is that the area?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, they're so magical to me as movie stars. To me, they're 3 of my favorite movie stars.
And name the girls, name the women
it's
again.
Candice Bergen, Jane Fonda, and Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
They're big-ass movie stars.
Yes. But then again, when I saw it, you weren't the surprise. Diane wasn't the surprise. Jane wasn't the surprise. I was like, Candice Bergen is back. I follow her on Instagram and her Bergen's bags.
Oh,
and all that.
Bergen's. I ordered 3 for Christmas.
I'm totally
What are Bergen's
She
bags?
takes like, fancy Yves Saint Laurent Goyard bags,
Hermes, whatever.
Hermes bags, and you hire her to paint your dog on them, and then the money that you pay her is given to the ASPCA.
Oh, how lovely is that?
And they're adorable.
Wow.
And you can follow her on Bergen bags. I love that. I'm not plugging my unpathetic Instagram.
I brought it up. I'll show you. I'll pull it up now. It's the cutest things. But she's been low key over the years,
Well, she's popped up here and there.
But then when I saw her in the mix for this, I got really
excited.
brilliant.
Yeah.
She is brilliant.
She is.
She's when you're acting with her and you look in those blue eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
But what I had no idea could not be prepared for is that the 3 of us took one look at each other and there was some chemistry that truly occurred. There's text chains going most days that we've had dinners,
How beautiful.
Jane wants us to travel together. It's like, there was just this crazy thing that happened because we had so much in common. And look at Candace and Jane, both who had famous fathers, both raised in Los Angeles. I'm the one that's not from California, but at no moment, I mean, I felt so connected to them. And I think there's also like a deep appreciation. We've all worked mostly with people now younger than us, or with a man, and he's getting 3 times your salary, and he's in the important part, and you're just supposed to, muck in or whatever. We've all been through all that, and to have these kind of 4 women that on screen are buddies and like each other, and off screen it just clicked. It was just hilarious.
Yes.
And the stories, if I could have recorded them, and they would have been an amazing podcast.
Yes.
And it was breathtaking.
Tell me this. It's interesting, this part of the relationships with women. I grew up with all women, and I know how early in a woman's career what her relationships are like with her mother and with other women. At what point does that change? Because there's a certain competition with women early on.
Yeah.
At what point does that change?
Well, I don't experience it on Last Man on Earth, the TV show I do. There's 3 wonderful women that I work with on that show. And of course, I'm not only the oldest person on the show, I'm the oldest person on the crew.
Oh, dear.
So if I was going to feel jealous, you could sort of understand that, but I don't. I feel I love them, and we're close, and it's... So I don't know if I just didn't ever feel that. It's not a competitive sport, acting. It's really like, it is one of these things where the better somebody else is, the better you are. And I've done some like lame little movies where maybe I was, in scenes with actors that weren't maybe as good an actor as me, maybe. And I'm not as good. Then. It's like when you're playing with beautiful, talented people, it raises your game, and always. And so it's kind of dumb to be competitive about it, because it's very self-defeating is how I see it.
Yeah, no, but intellectually speaking, you're absolutely right. But I think that people who are we're talking about women who are into that place where another woman enters the room and they're like, oh, hi. You like on the Housewives, when you see the Housewives and they're doing that thing, that thing of like, what did she say? That thing. Did you notice a change as you've lived on this planet?
Yeah.
In you, in other women, how other women relate to you?
I think women, I don't know if they relate to me that way, or if I'm so scared of that I don't go near it, because I don't have that. I know what you're talking about. It's more like I've seen it on TV. I think if people are ever putting that toward me, I have some invisibility thing that I don't let it in, because I'm not comfortable. I like being a sister. I like women. I like women a lot. I like men. And I have amazing, deep relationships with both as actors. And when I feel that thing you're talking about, which is a certain bitchiness, I guess, I think
jealousy too.
I think I run. I think I don't swim in that, because it's just, it doesn't feel good. It's like, and is it funny on TV sometimes? Yeah. You know what I love on Drag Race? Like, I know it's funny when they're bitchy and stuff, but when one of them starts to cry, the genuine caring and empathy that comes towards somebody, and I'm not saying things can't be funny and wild and whatever, but I don't want to be in that. For whatever reason, that doesn't feel right to me. So if there are women like that in my life, you'll be glad to know I have no clue who you are. And it sure wasn't the 3 women in Book Club. And, and it's not the beautiful young women I work with every day. I mean, my character is married to a woman on Last Man on Earth, and she's gorgeous and much younger than me, and I love my scenes with her.
Yeah.
Life is too short for me to invite that in my thing.
Right.
You know,
You have a daughter and a son.
I have a daughter and a son, and I have 2 beautiful stepdaughters.
Okay.
So-
And so, because it's just an interesting thing for me, you know what because Michelle,
the
I bring it up
female
all the time.
dynamic, yeah.
The female dynamic.
Yeah.
And we're in the Me Too movement and Time's Up. And I think about what it would really physically, emotionally take to change the dial, to switch it up, to really, not just, talking about it or be protesting, but to really change the psychology.
We've gone backwards. I think, I'm a loudmouth feminist. I think we've gone backwards in time with doing that. I think women, because of reality TV and because of,
you're not going to say the Kardashians.
No, but reality TV in general, because what that's doing is giving women the go-ahead to talk like that, to act like that, to be like that with other women. Whereas, as a movement of women, and the Me Too movement is necessary and beautiful, and women deserve to be equal. I worked in radio for 17 years where I always got at least half of what my male co-host was making, and it's not fair. But I think that what reality TV does, while fun to watch and be a voyeur, is it gives women the right to judge somebody and be like, ew, not on my dime, bitch, instead of saying, you look great. Yeah. Did you lose weight? What did you do? There's that support because of this is missing, and it's gone backwards for me. I feel like in the 60s and 70s, that really didn't exist. It was like love and happiness and harmony.
I think that I think a lot of people, it was fashionable to be that way. And I think it's kind of fashionable now to be pro women. But I think when you break things down to the real gut of things, women are still vying for the attention of men for security or for validation or for whatever reason.
Into that thought process by society.
Yeah.
Because let's go back to Arkansas saying, well, if you're lucky, you can marry a doctor instead of being the doctor. So from the 50s and before, women were set in the kitchen. They were barefoot. They were pregnant. That's what they were there to do. That was their role. You go back to that before we were even allowed to vote. Our voices didn't matter. And then when they did, you're right, there was a feigning of, women power. Now we're in the mindset of actual women power, but we are lagging. There's a whole group of people, and we're talking, hundreds of millions that haven't gotten that memo yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear from them because, one of my oldest friends, my lifelong friend since my early 20s, is Hillary Clinton.
There you go.
We had our children. I knew her
Arkansas.
before.
That's right. Of course.
Yeah. So she's, one of my closest female friends.
Oh, how lucky.
And it's been an interesting journey. But one of the things I would say is that when I've campaigned, we were always protested, sometimes very small, sometimes more than small. I would say the majority of the people that were there
protesting.
I'm talking about Ted and I traveling on her behalf. Were women.
That's
protesting against you.
Yes.
And so I always, there's the Hillary that you want to believe, that you want to dislike, or you don't like for this cause or that cause. And then I actually know the actual real person and have for a very long time, and have watched that person walk through life and have walked through life with that person. And I always thought, as I would look at these women out there like so mad, and I would think, I wish you could talk to each other for 15 minutes. I wish you could, be in a room with her for 15 minutes. Not that she has to change everything or change your anger, but I wish you could know the actual person as opposed to all the things she's carrying for you.
Right.
And that's been an interesting journey, and maybe one of the reasons why it's important to me to seek out authenticity in friendships and stuff like that, because sometimes in our world, people make you out to be someone you're not, either way too great or way too terrible, you know?
Yeah.
So knowing the humanity of who someone is is kind of important.
But also, that's one of the reasons this movie book club is so important, because it does show a positive light on the importance of female relationships. And once all of that competition is out of the picture, what strength there is.
You're just people. When
you're
all
people.
that crap is gone.
Yeah, but also for women, people who have gone through so much craziness of being maligned by whatever doctrine is out there, but then to survive it and to have these friendships. I haven't seen the film, but I'm assuming it really is about how you can depend on other women, It
is about that. And it's also about, I think it's a little bit about a hunger that people assume it is when you get to a certain age. And I have assumed this too. You get to a certain age and you're set and, oh, aren't you sweet? Now go away. And it's like, wow, okay. So first of all, I'm so not cooked. I'm like still out there, as we've been talking about, scaring myself or trying new things or whatever. And so is everybody else not everybody else I know, but a lot of people I know. Yeah. And so this thing about assuming things about women our age is weird. I mean, it's weird because for me, I hope that the main people that go to see our movie, truthfully, are young women, because you want a life where your future is exciting ahead of you, not that you're put out to pasture at a certain moment in time, either emotionally, your relationships to men, to other women, sexually. You don't want any of that to just be, well, you're going to be the Walking Dead from age 40 on, or whatever age you want to put on it.
Yeah.
You know?
But look at Jane Fonda's life. Look, she has squeezed so many lives into one lifetime. Still going.
It's stunning.
It is stunning.
It's stunning. She showed up for you when you, congratulations, got your star on Hollywood Boulevard, and looking extraordinary as always. So both of you. But I did mean Jane at that moment.
All right, so in terms of Instagram, what is your Instagram handle?
Mary_Steenburgen. She's right here.
And by the way, January Jones set that up for me. She set it up late one night on a boat in San Pedro when we're shooting. And she went, "You don't have Instagram?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Okay, but here's the problem. I have to get more interesting in what I post." You can see that right now, Michelle.
Well, no, you're not. You're letting people into your life. There's pictures with you and
gently. I have to be way more bold about it, right?
Okay.
You got to take risks.
You got to take risks.
You are good at that.
Okay.
And that's the thing. Listen, I'm not 20. I have 2 teenage daughters. They tell me what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right.
But how do you, like, if you have an experience with, say, a Jane Fonda or somebody like that, I always don't want to invade her privacy, so I end up
not taking a picture.
Right.
But you could say, "Do you mind? Is it stupid?" I know. There's ways to go around it.
Sure.
Listen, I'll tell Ru all the time, "Let's take a picture." We have the relationship where he'll go, "No, girl, not now," or he'll say, "Let's do it later," or whatever.
Yeah.
You have that relationship with these people. They'll be like, "Oh, that's fun," or
I know. Okay.
Fuck off.
No, as long as you're not obnoxious about it, I think people are willing to do it. And the movie book club, I think by the time this airs, it will be
May
open.
18th.
May 18th.
If it does.
Yeah. You have been just a joy to talk to. Thank you so much.
You should come to the premiere. You guys should come to the premiere.
Oh, my God, how fun.
Is it here in L.A.?
Yeah,
okay.
One of them. I think there's a New York one and an L.A. one.
I'm trying to remember where I am. Are we
filming? It's not that
here?
night. Yeah. I think the premiere is before that. I'll find out.
Okay, we will be here before DragCon is right before that. So
12th, 13th.
Yeah, so we'll show up.
Okay.
We'll meet all the
oh my God.
book club.
And will you take a picture for me?
Absolutely. Actually, we're going to do one now too.
And we'll put it on your Instagram.
All right. So, Mary Steenburgen, thank you so much, and thank you for all the years of giving yourself so gracefully to all of us out there who are watching your films, listening to your music, and sharing your life with us. It's really it's an act of grace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Follow her on Instagram.
That's right. And Michelle, until next time, my
darling. Bye.
Bye.
Can I get an amen? If you can't love love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Amen.